like some of the historical examples. I really liked the reference to Shays' Rebellion. I thought that was really good. I liked the participation on the follow-up round, that you all jumped in and participated. You had some really good answers. I mean, you also really understood some of the concepts in there. Really good response to gerrymandering, referencing the Connecticut or Great Compromise. I just want to say what I said in the last unit as well. I just want you to keep studying the Constitution and keep working on your study and appreciation of it. And I really appreciate the effort that you put in. Thank you.
Your opening statement, it took you pretty much till the third person that you really start talking about representation. So always remember, you got to focus on the key to the question. And I heard a lot about John Locke, and I get it. John Locke was influential. So I would say is less Locke, more representation. And again, your opening stances were very safe. Like, no one can argue with, these people influence that. I would, again, jump in to take a position, because that puts us on our heels. That way you're being active and putting the onus on us. So again, I would say take a position. Like, maybe you put in something like the Electoral College should be retained, or you are talking about teenagers voting. So maybe you put in a statement like, in terms of representation, we still don't have representation, but teenagers we need to lower the voting age because we want as much representation as possible. Because clearly you're against gerrymandering because it doesn't fairly represent the interests of the people. I thought also your back and forth was very good. Y'all were kind of helping each other out. And I think at one point you kind of hopped in on something that he was saying. And it's like you ever been in class when they're asking a hard question and somebody jumps in to bail out somebody? That's what y'all should be doing every time up here, because he or she or the first one out there saying something off the top of their head, you get that extra 10 seconds. Then you jump in and now it's like, oh, okay, that's what I meant to say. It's really hard to be that first person to talk, isn't it? So I thought you did a really good job. Thank you.
I enjoyed it as well. I was very pleased that there was more participation across the whole group. Once again, ladies, the girls are not speaking up as much. Don't let those stinky boys dominate this. However, with regard to those stinky boys, Trenton and Michael and Ahmed all did a very good job. Ahmed, you've got some good things to say, my friend. Speak up. I need to hear. These poor people are sitting here and all they can hear is a little bit of mumbling. You see what I'm doing right now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me in the back? Yeah. Okay, that's great, but they'd rather hear you than me. So next team that's up here, I want some projection of that voice. I want it to be bouncing off the back wall.
I thought you were just kind of whispering to me. We're having a little chat here.
We're having just a little chat here. No, Ahmed is a pretty smart dude, but you wouldn't know it, would you? Okay.
People in the back do.
My questions really are an example of trying to get to the cusp of the matter, down to the root of it. When you talk about representation, the question is who gets to vote, and how do we vote, and how do we count the votes? And by dividing ourselves up into states, there are pluses and there are minuses. One of them is that it's anti-democratic because people in Wyoming have more power in the Senate than people in California do. Okay, that's one big problem with it. But on the other hand, if you don't divide us up and we all just vote in one big 330 million block of people, well then, as Trenton pointed out, where's going to be the minority representation? I mean, there will always be a majority group, and that majority group will always tend to drown out all the minority voices. And so one good thing about slicing and dicing ourselves up, at least if it's done fairly, is that some places, some people from some minority groups, whether it's a religious minority, a racial minority, or even just a political minority, they will have some voice in the process as well. So there are pluses and there are minuses, and there are also historical reasons. We started out as states. It would have been pretty difficult for the Constitutional Convention to have started out by abolishing the first 13 states. In Britain, they don't have states. They have regions, but they don't have states, and so it's possible to do it differently. And those are the sort of deep questions you want to be thinking about and looking behind the question that you're being asked. So don't be surprised if you get a curveball like that. By and large, very much enjoyed it. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.